Hi there, welcome back to the Ginescast. I'm your host, Gina.annunziato. Thank you so much for joining me. So as always, I've got many a thing on my mind. I just want to thank the participants who allowed me to interview them for a podcast that will be coming out probably in August. Because yes, it's literally August already. August 2018. I can't believe it. It's just time is zooming by, so why not just keep talking about things that annoy the hell out of me. And with that, I would like to introduce you to the Ginescast number 12, Politicatastrophe. The internet and the mainstream media always seem to be at odds with one another. There's this dueling banjos kind of mindset, a weird us versus them in the battle of wits and the battle of journalism. But both feed into each other way more than they like to admit. Words and concepts get used and borrowed, causing the internet to leak into real life sometimes and vice versa. Trump derangement syndrome is the latest on the chopping block. But I'm seeing words pop up more frequently, like Orwellian and gaslighting. They're making the rounds on both the internet and the media. So what exactly is going on here? Why this weird push towards discovering which entity is more superior? Who's more informed? Who's more up to date? Who is more rapid in its reporting? And as these two entities fight against one another, I just have to wonder, isn't it easier to work with something than work against it? You know what? Screw it. It doesn't matter either way, right? Everything is terrible, and we're all stuck in an endless mire of bullshit to the point where we'll never see the light of day. Everything is terrible, and you are a miserable person if you don't think so. Everything is terrible, and if you don't share my defeatist attitude about it, you are clearly not paying attention and you don't know what you're talking about. That is honestly my perception of people's attitudes around me, people I surround myself with. I can't even express my indifference to a majority of things people are complaining about without someone telling me how I'm doing myself a disservice because my care levels have reached 0. I'm sorry, but I really think that this podcast is gonna go slightly personal here. I may just be salty and need to get some shit out to the world, I guess. I may be back in the newsroom full time, but I gotta be honest because my heart is after the truth. And the truth is, I am sick, disgusted, tired, and overall frightened about what I'm observing in society. It's like all self-awareness has gone flying out the window and there is absolutely no hope left that it will ever be recovered. I am not trying to be a Debbie Downer here, but holy shit, is it raining bullshit out there. Everything is politicized. Everyone is ultra sensitive. There are things we can't even have a discussion about because everyone whatabouts everything. And they don't even focus on what the hell the issue is even anymore. It's us versus them. You versus me. They suck, we're the best, no chance to repair any sort of divide. It's like we're all fighting against one another for one single life raft, even though there's a ton of unused ones floating mere meters away. Why do we do this? Because the life raft we're all clamoring to get aboard is the one that's popular at the moment. It's the prettiest. All the cool people are already on it. So, what's going on here? What is it that's trendy to do right now? Oh, that's right. Absolutely hate every little thing that President Trump does, right? Both sides are kind of hating the other side right now because the other side is a bunch of snowflakes. The other side is the delusional side because they don't read the same articles or watch the same news station that I do. The other side is easy to make fun of because I literally think I'm superior to another person based on a personal belief. And I will concede that I am probably only focusing on a loud and annoying vocal minority here. But it's getting to the point where everything is so unbelievably cringy and terrible to me. We're flapping our flippers at any mention of Orange Man bad. We are cheering wildly at someone using a pickaxe on some star-shaped concrete because it has bad Orange Man's name on it. We are fighting over said star-shaped concrete because differences. We are applauding edgy, spicy alt-right memes and embracing people who think spamming swastikas in a live chat is hilarious. We're all mad because apparently one guy brought everyone's bullshit to the surface just by being elected president. I have said this before, that President Trump is the lightning rod for the world's bullshit. I think he's perfect for the job he was elected to do because he's essentially been this same person his entire career. I think he calls it like he sees it, and he puts up with no bullshit. People tend to forget that Donald Trump has been in the public eye for, let's say, 40 plus years at this point. I don't think there's ever a time in my life, in my 32 years on this planet, that I didn't know who Donald Trump was. And maybe that's just because I'm from the tri-state area, but he's been a staple of America for a very long time. If you watch older interviews from him, people thought that he should run for office even back in the 80s. He just has that kind of quality that puts up with no bullshit. And you can disagree with me on this, I don't care. Because if bullshit is the majority of what is being slung at you, it's very easy to avoid. But the anger and the ire that people feel towards him is just ridiculous. Why are we doing this? Have we ever stopped to ponder why we're so mad? You are allowed to be mad. No one's telling you you're not. But why? Why, I think, is because it feels kind of good to preen and flaunt your perceived superiority over those you deem insignificant. It's very easy for someone to look at a Trump supporter and deem them all insignificant. And don't worry, because both sides do this. People on the right absolutely look down on people on the left. It's just a thing that we do, but we all don't admit that we do it. We're far too busy demonizing the other side to create this politicatastrophe that I've spoken of. Although people on the right do display their displeasure for those on the left, I think that liberals on the whole are more vocal and more public about their dislike and hatred for Trump. And this happens online as well. Conservatives are the first to talk about echo chambers that exist on the left, but they act like there is no echo chamber on the right. Sometimes it's a bit more cringy than the left. I don't think Trump derangement syndrome only applies to liberals. It can apply to those who don't see any fault in President Trump as well. You're afflicted with starstruckedness and being just so obsessed with his alpha maledom, I guess, that you will completely forego things that could be called attention to. Not being able to lob any kind of criticism towards Trump or conservatives in general, basically lying down, rolling over, exposing your belly towards whatever he does, or trying to justify each strange and odd thing he says and does you a disservice as well. Objectivity is blind on both sides, and I know that people don't believe that, and they can't stand when someone uses quote-unquote both sides, but you know what? I don't give a shit anymore about coddling. If you can't admit that your side doesn't have a fault to it, I can't help you. And if you don't like me whining and making my voice sound like this about it, I can't help you either, sorry. Whether they like to admit it or not, I think people are taking a page out of Trump's book and calling things like they see it in the political sphere. And sometimes language that they use can really hurt and degrade the other side. And you know what? If you don't purposefully set out to hurt someone's feelings, then is it really the worst thing in the world to happen if someone does get hurt? People can usually apologize and move on, even if the apology sounds a little less than sincere. And while right now I'm thinking about just kind of online anonymous interactions, I have to start thinking about what goes on in my personal life too, and the people that I surround myself with and speak to and share my personal feelings with. And I feel like if someone truly cares about you, then you would be able to let them know without fear where they've made you feel kind of stupid for expressing a thought. Because we all do that. It happens. It's unfortunate when it happens, but it should, at this point, be simpler to push back and say, you know what, that's not a nice thing that you just said to me. If that's how you act with every jerk off that exists online, then you have a bit of an issue there, because you can't make anybody online do anything. I'm talking about people that are close to you. I do talk about a lot of online interactions here, but a lot of it applies to how I go about my day-to-day life too. We have friends, and we have confidants, and we have acquaintances, and we have really, really close friends. We have people in our life that we trust to some extent. And for me personally, it just seems to be getting a little bit harder and harder to dole out my trust, I guess, because I just see such disarray everywhere I go that I feel cloistered in a way. It's not a fun thought to think about, but people really don't give a shit sometimes when they're really only looking out for themselves and what they believe. People, I think, will drop you at the drop of a hat if something doesn't align with them, something that they feel so strongly about doesn't align. It's fine to be able to discuss these things with one another, but we're getting to the point where if it's too uncomfortable, we don't even want to iron it out. We don't even want to discuss. It's over. You said something I don't agree with, so I don't want to talk to you anymore. And maybe it's just me, but I don't understand why that keeps happening. One thing my father always taught me was to never kind of willingly offer your politics or religion to people. And, sorry, Dad, but I'm kind of going off my own way here. I am a conservative and I did vote for Trump. And if that makes you hate me, then that sucks for me. Because I like to believe that the audience that I've built here on YouTube won't judge me for that. And I think that that's what we're doing too much of. We are judging one another based on something that we can't fathom. There's not enough putting our own personal politics at the door in order to strip away the nonsense first and just have a conversation. Instead, we're so politically angry, and in some cases, rightfully angry, but it's at literally everything that we don't give people a chance to even finish a thought before we finish it for them. This is a strange news cycle that we're in. It's minute to minute. It's almost second to second at this point. The coverage before the election was not like this. Now we are delving incredibly deep into what might have been said or the feeling that someone had. It's like opinions are starting to become the story. The reporters are starting to become the news story. And I think that's weird, and I want to discuss that more. I want to call that out. But I can't do it if someone is upset with me because I don't care about this specific news story when there's literally thousands more to care about. And I honestly believe that something is about to change here. I don't know what and I don't know how, but something is going to change. There's too many things that are happening right now that are way, way, way out of our control for us to know exactly how it's all going to play out. And I am not going to apologize for not putting my energy into things that I have no control over. As a responsible news employee, I will report on the facts. I will be aware of major news stories that go on, and I will make sure to be as unbiased as possible because, hi, it's my job to care about it. But can you make me care about it? You can't force me into your mess and your confusion because it makes you feel better. It just can't happen. Just like I can't force you to listen to this podcast right now and join me in my confusion to hopefully make me feel better. Do you hear the word accountability being thrown out more? Because I do. And maybe just because I still truly and honestly believe that 2018 is the year of accountability. but I do believe people are being held accountable, despite what you may think. Everything tends to come out in the wash eventually, especially things that you have absolutely no control over. And just because something is not happening on your time doesn't mean it's not happening. People are not going to get away with their bullshit much longer. I really and truly believe that. And you'll be able to believe it too once you clear away your own bullshit. And boy, is that a process. That's not something that happens overnight. But what I've been seeing lately and how I've seen things unfolding, it's getting harder and harder to believe that people have the ability to hold the mirror up to themselves. So I'm not holding my breath that people have the capacity to do that, to be strong enough to do that. So what can I do about it? I've got no control over what people say or how people act. So really, what more can I say than prove me wrong, America? Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. This one definitely was a bit more personal for me, but there are things that I need to get off my chest, and I'm kind of figuring a lot of things out right now. You know, being back on an overnight shift and full-time employee again, it makes you reassess some things, and I really hope that you reassess some things too. It's fun to do. It's a pain in the ass while you're doing it, but really it'll just benefit you in the meantime. I do want to let you know that this podcast will eventually be up on iTunes, and this podcast, a light version of this podcast, will eventually be up on Instagram TV. And I want to thank Girl Does Rant for helping me with the graphics. She is wonderful. Go subscribe to her on Twitch. No ETA for that, but be on the lookout. So you got to just keep sharing and keep helping me out here, because we're going to keep going no matter what. The Ginescast comes out every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment below, or share it on social media. If you want more from me, you can follow me at HelloGines on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitch, or shoot me an email at gina.annunziato@gmail.com. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ginescast. I'm Gina Annunziato, and I'll see you next time. Take care.